Hey guys, welcome back to the vlog, although today isn't really a vlog as such. 7 years ago, it's the 16th of May 2018 today. 7 years ago today I was stood on top of the world, on top of Mount Everest. It was the hardest thing I've ever managed to do, and it almost killed me on the way back down, literally. And so all I really wanted to do today was I thought it'd be an appropriate day and quite fitting to share some things that I learned out on the mountain. Today's isn't really about saying, look at me, I've climbed Everest. It's just purely sharing with you some things that I've learned that I think will be of value to you and actually can be applied in everyday life. So the first thing that I learned, never judge a book by its cover. You're probably thinking, what's that got to do with Everest? But there were a lot of different people out on Everest when I climbed. Some were strong, they were very confident, almost arrogant, guys saying how many marathons they'd run prior to coming out here in sub 3 hour times and how they were going to conquer the mountain. And then there were people that were very shy and quiet, they kept themselves to themselves. Now, as you imagine, it turns out a lot of the people that were very confident and look at me, I'm going to smash this, actually didn't even get close to the top. They ended up getting ill and had to go home. And the people that did do well were the ones that you wouldn't necessarily think of. They were the quieter kind of ones. And actually there is a particular case that I'm thinking about. There was an elderly woman, I can't even remember her name. To be fair, she wasn't elderly. She was in her 50s, mid 50s I would say. But she looked, I'm just trying to picture it back. She looked quite frail and she looked quite old. And she went on oxygen very low down. So typically you would use supplementary oxygen higher up as you get up to a higher camp. But she was almost using, I think I saw her using it at base camp. And I just thought, I wouldn't have thought you're going to get to the top. I hope she did. And it turns out, I'd already got to the top and I'd literally gone home by the time she did it. But she made it. She made it to the top. And out of everyone, I thought there's just no way you are going to do this. And blow me down, she did it. And it really, Everest is a real leveler. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter what background you come from. Whether you're educated or a millionaire or not, it's all irrelevant once you get out there. And that's what I really love about expeditions. You'll find out what you're made of. You'll find out if you really, really want it. And certainly never judge a book by its cover is something that I learned out on Everest. It may sound very simple, but bear that in mind when you meet people and you're not really quite sure. Just the quieter ones are the ones that actually tend to do quite well. I've certainly learned that. Another thing that I've learned, this is patience. 75% of our time out on Everest, if you're trying to climb to the top, is actually spent trying to acclimatise in a tent. So for the vast majority of our time when we're out on the mountain, we're just sitting in a tent, sleeping, eating, resting. But then 25% of our time is go time, actually climbing. Now that's the most physical, intense experience that I've ever encountered in my life. The best way to describe it would be like sprinting 100 meters as fast as you can. And trying to catch your breath. Well, it's kind of like that as you get higher up all the time. You're constantly gasping for air, trying to catch your breath. It's difficult. And I think in this day and age that we live in now, I see this and I see it a lot in young people. And not just young people, people my age too, older. Patience is a thing that people lack. What with the birth of Amazon, we can click and order stuff and it will be delivered in sometimes even 12 hours the same day. So people are losing that will to have patience. That's a big problem because you cannot achieve anything worthwhile without having some degree of patience. If it's worth doing, if it's worth having, the likelihood is you're going to have to be patient. And that really was highlighted to me out on Everest. Patience is something that's so important. If you can learn to be patient, you'll be amazed what comes your way. And another thing that was really highlighted out on Everest was there's no shortcuts to the top of the world. Just like there's no shortcut to anything really worth having. And what I mean by that is, in order to climb to the top of Everest, we have to go through a series of acclimatization climbs. So you'll go up to the different camps and then you'll come back down. So if you arrive at base camp, you go up to camp 1, maybe take a bit of rest. Then the next day you'll come all the way back down to base camp, take a bit more rest. Then you'll go back up, but you'll bypass camp 1 and you'll go on to camp 2. Then you'll come all the way back down the following day, take a bit more rest. Then you'll go back up to camp 2, stay there for a night. Then you move up to camp 3, stay there for a night. And then you'll come all the way back down to base camp. And you're doing that to allow your body to adjust to the lower levels of oxygen as you go higher. There is no way around this. It doesn't matter how fit you are. Even the local Sherpas have to go through this process. And over time, your body is producing more red blood cells. It's the red blood cells that transport the oxygen around the body that enable us to acclimatize and climb high. And I think it doesn't matter whether you're trying to climb Everest or whatever it is that you're trying to do. There is no shortcut to anything worth having, full stop. If you think you're clever by trying to take a shortcut, I can almost guarantee you it is only going to lead to a place of disappointment and misery and frustration. I know that because I've tried to take many, many shortcuts, like we all have at some point when I was younger. And so if you're trying to achieve something worth doing, whether it be climbing a mountain or setting up a business, whatever it is, you can't take shortcuts. You've got to do the acclimatization work, the up down. And that up and down can be whatever it may be. But that is absolutely key out on Everest. And another thing that is absolutely key, and again, Everest really highlighted this, and also so did rowing across the Atlantic, funnily enough. Routine is your best friend in life. It really is. You see, because you have so much downtime out on Everest, you spend a lot of time sitting in a tent. So it's very easy to sit around and get lazy and sleep all day. You then become more lethargic, and actually you're not doing anything, you're not moving, and that's a problem. So having a routine, just getting up every day, even when you don't need to, just get up, have your breakfast at a certain time, do things, so like even if it's just brushing your teeth, which obviously we should all do, at the same time, day in, day out, in the morning and in the evenings, and when I was out on Everest, I would used to wash and read and do things. It's keeping in a routine, because the second you fall out of a routine, you are really going to struggle to get back on the rails mentally. And actually, in order to do anything worthwhile, in order to get something, you have to develop the good habits. And routine is probably one of the best habits. Routine and discipline are probably one of the most useful things you could ever acquire. Because what will happen as you do start to become successful, and that success can be anything, whether you're a business or climbing or building your profile, whatever it is, as you become successful, if you do not have those good habits, you won't be able to deal with the success. And, more good opportunities will come your way, but each opportunity needs to be looked at in more detail. Things need to be turned around quicker. And if you don't have the good habits and you're a bit lazy and you faff about a lot, you will very quickly lose the opportunities. And it doesn't take long to build yourself up, whether you're trying to build a business or whatever it is. But very quickly, you can lose it as well. So routine and discipline are really key. And Everest really highlighted that to me. And I think really just getting to the top was only really half the battle. I still had to get back down, and believe you me, that was considerably harder than actually standing on top of the world. And it's having that sense of urgency is key. And what I mean by that is, once you've done all your acclimatization climbs out on Everest, you're sitting around, you're just waiting for the right weather window. And when I was out there, we weren't really sure when the weather window was coming. We had forecasters in the UK sending us updates, But we had to be ready, because you're going to get the call, you'll get the message, it's go. And you will be, that's it, you will be, then the following morning, you've got to be ready to go. You've got to have your kit packed, you've got to be organized. And again, it all goes back to what I was saying. It's all about discipline and routine. And so when an opportunity does come your way, you're ready to strike, because you've got the good habits. And a sense of urgency is something that is so key. How many times do we all say, I'm going to do that tomorrow, or well, I'll do this another day? And let me tell you something. If you're a business owner and you got people, people that work for you, and you have to give them work to do, who are you going to go to? You're going to go to the person that has a sense of urgency, that gets stuff done. You're not going to go to the person that says, yeah, I'll do that. And then you ask him tomorrow and it's like, yeah, it's not done yet, but I'm doing it. I'm very busy. And then a week later, it's still not done. So when you think that something can wait and it's not really that important, my advice would be just do it. Just get it done. A sense of urgency is absolutely key, not just out on an expedition, but just in your everyday life. And people don't have that anymore. Laziness is linked with having a sense of urgency, and I see it. It's a big problem. It really is. But I think the one final thing that I want to share with you is keep moving. Never ever stop moving when things are going wrong in your life. On the way back down from Everest, I had a very nasty lung infection. I was quite unwell. I didn't know it at the time. All I knew is that I'd lost the ability to breathe. I was gasping for air, and I was literally taking 1-2 steps and I was having to stop. This was a big problem because I wasn't moving quick enough to get back down. I was going to run out of oxygen, and I was simply potentially going to die. And my Sherpa was really going on at me to get a move on, but I couldn't move at the pace he was. And I thought to myself, if I just keep moving, I will get back down. And that concept of keep moving undoubtedly saved my life. Whenever you're going through a difficult patch in life, and everyone does, even celebrities do, everyone does, most people have a tendency to stop. And as soon as you stop, so an example of this is you don't go to work, you don't get out of bed, and you just stop functioning, you will rapidly deteriorate, and you will find it harder and harder to get back into a rhythm and keep moving. So that is something that I would certainly say is, for me, was one of the biggest things that I took away from climbing Everest, is just that keep moving, keep moving, keep moving. If what you're trying to achieve is not happening, don't worry, work your plan. Just keep moving, keep moving, keep moving, and work the plan. In the end, I guarantee you, what you're trying to achieve will come together if you just keep moving. It's very similar to not giving up. Just keep moving. I see it all the time. People get bad news, they get a little bit down about something, and they stop. That is the worst thing you can ever do. And usually what you're trying to achieve is actually only just around the corner anyway, and you've just stopped short of it. I see that a lot. So that's one of the biggest things that I learned out there. And to be honest with you guys, I could talk all day about Everest and rowing across the Atlantic and cycling around the world and all the different things that I've learned. But I woke up this morning and I just thought, you know what? 7 years ago I was stood on top of the world. Okay, that's fine, cool, but what did I learn from that, and what can I share to other people? And so I just wanted to highlight a few things that I've learned, and I just wanted to kind of share that with you, really. I will make another video on going into a bit more detail, as I've had some comments of what would my advice be if you wanted to get into climbing, or you wanted to become a full-time sort of adventurer. I'm going to make another video on that, because that's not a 5-minute thing to answer, if I'm honest. So guys, if you've got any questions, or if there's anything you want to ask me, just drop a couple of questions below. I do this is not my job, I do this because I love it. I love going away, doing what I do. I love the expedition side of things, I love speaking, I love sharing what I've learned. And I have been away quite a lot, I have made some big projects happen, and without in any way sounding arrogant. I do know what I'm talking about, you know, to a certain extent. I do have quite a lot of experience, but I enjoy sharing that. So if you have anything you want to ask me, just ask me below. So guys, that's probably enough now. I just wanted to sort of share that with you. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you found it, you know, worthwhile listening to. I do need to say thank you to Tom for making the cool thumbnails up for this video. And guys, if you like it or if you want to know any more, just subscribe, and I will see you in the next couple of days, guys. Out for now.